Coming up on Be Kind, Let's Rewind.
Today we're talking about Tommy Boy, starring Chris Farley and David Spade.
Oh my God, we're burning alive! No, I can't feel my leg!
And he's just still the same loser. He's late for like class.
Love that! Hey guys, do I look different now that I'm a college grad?
But in the window behind him, this kid's like making faces.
And they're on their way. The deer isn't dead.
It's alive!
It's basically us drunk listening to Whitney Houston.
Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby?
After all that, they're laying there like side by side, and Farley just goes,
Sinner.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue music.
Who's your favorite little rascal? Alfalfa? Or is it Spanky? Sinner.
Welcome to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for, with your hosts, Chris, Leaf, and Shadwick.
I was drunk. It's beautiful.
This is beautiful.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for. Today we're talking about Tommy Boy, starring Chris Farley and David Spade.
What'd you do?
Guys, 1995, that means it's been 30 years since that freaking movie came out.
Go ahead and start straight from
Go ahead and
the bottle.
start straight from the bottle. Let's
That's-
go ahead and start drinking,
that's
man.
30 years of people saying, holy shnikes.
Yeah, I know, man. So I know the answer for me and Leaf. Shadwick, lead us off. Where do you first remember seeing Tommy Boy?
This was not one that I'm very well versed in, honestly.
Really?
I mean, I've seen it a handful of times.
Yeah, it's a staple on network television.
And it's, I mean, it's, it's quotable, it's memorable.
Yeah.
It's just not one that I really like watched 100 times, like
Dude,
almost everything else.
me and Leaf saw this together in theaters with our parents. And
Was
I
that
remember
this? Was the last one we saw? with
It
him?
had to
Like-
be. It had to be because you probably got your license shortly after this. I do remember being uncomfortable as fuck during the
Yankees?
Alfalfa and the Yankees scene or whatever, because I was like, oh no, I don't know what he's doing, Mom. Because I'm laughing at it and I can almost feel like Mom would be like,
So
I'm like, not me. I go to church.
yeah, we'll get back to that part in a little bit.
As we get over.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Shadwick, you said you have a nice little present that you found on your trip, which would be a nice segue for us to take it over to.
Get out of the street, you fucking bum!
You heard him.
I needed to get out of the street, man.
So we had to get out of the street on our way to our cabin because the missus has a female bladder. So,
Yep, as they do. But show us what you got in that bag there, brother.
So it is called Company Distillery.
Company Distillery, sponsor our podcast.
Please. That's
Nice.
a fancy little bottle you got there.
Uh-huh. And have you cracked it a little bit or no?
I've cracked it just so I didn't have to do it on air.
On air. We'll give it a pour, and then we'll figure out how that tastes and how it goes, and sponsor our podcast. I'm actually rocking a little bit of the Crown. Just came off driving a cab, working nights.
I'm not doing so good, Pearl.
Where's the rent?
Where's that clip, dude?
Let's see if we can hear this.
Oh.
That sounded like when Richard
Son of
Pryor
a-
and Marlon.
I knew you were going to say it.
It's a recurring theme now.
No, that's the thing. Leaf man, what do you got there, brother?
Dude, we're doing a little bit of a straight bourbon whiskey from the Chattanooga Whiskey Company.
Nice. Also,
This
sponsor our
time.
podcast.
Also, please.
Please,
Man,
man.
That's it, dude. On one rock, baby.
Yeah,
one rock.
We'll bring you some coasters.
Yeah, dude, we'll do whatever we got to do. Man, don't make us go full Pryor Brando. Look, so, guys, before we get started.
That's the only way they're going to sponsor
They're
us.
going to sponsor us.
I volunteer as tribute.
Leaf, you're up.
Yeah, Leaf, that's Leaf's department. Kurt Patrick's going to punch Leaf in the stomach.
Yeah, that's my department.
Anyway, guys, before we get started, make sure you hit us up with the 5-star, hit the like button. We got the thanks button. Got a couple people that hit that last time, so keep donating to bring Gibbs back. For God's sakes, we need him back. The Donate to Gibbs Fund. We go live every either Tuesday or Thursday when we feel like it, so join us on YouTube for that stuff. And, guys, as you can see on my head right now, we've got our beta version of the hats out.
Ooh, that looks so clean, dude.
Once we get those finalized, those will be up for sale in the merch. And speaking of merch, go buy a goddamn T-shirt or a hoodie. Beautiful. It's beautiful. So
Yep, that's alcohol.
that's alcohol. And when you have alcohol, make sure you check out our friends also at ZBiotics. ZBiotics.com/bekind. 10% off. Help yourself. Help me. I actually did some ZBiotics because I knew after working nights that tonight is going to be beautiful in my kitchen later on with my wife yelling at me.
I got drunk in my motherfucking kitchen. I was drinking out of my glass in my motherfucking house.
And guys,
You're gonna be drunk in your motherfucking kitchen in your motherfucking
in
house.
my motherfucking house. And one of our last shout-outs, don't forget our rewinder of the month, John T. Still going strong. And he will get back to you on any car questions you have. So,
Oh my God, we're burning alive! No, I can't feel my legs!
Tommy Boy, I got some backstage info from the legendary Chris Farley book I keep referencing on this podcast.
She covers it all, dude.
Dude, it had it was probably about a 30-minute chapter on the audiobook on this. So I went back and listened to it. I had no idea that this. Also forgot that this was Farley's. This was his debut, which I knew, but I forgot how many cameos he did in SNL movies. He was in Wayne's World. He was in Wayne's World 2. He was casted like sight unseen in Wayne's World 1 because Lorne was like, "You got to get this guy in your movie."
Yeah,
because he's just
he's
money.
He's just fat and hilarious.
Billy Madison.
Yep, he was in Billy Madison, which actually Billy Madison filmed the same time as this. Did not know that.
Yeah, because Sandler was actually considered to be Richard in this, but conflict of scheduling with
yeah, and
Billy
I
Madison.
mean Spade's the right call on that. Sandler's too likable to pull that one off, I think. But anyway, yeah, man. So they this movie was a 60-page script, and they basically were like, Chris Farley's in it. Here's kind of the gist, and the network was like, fuck yeah, because you're coming off the heels of like Wayne's World and some successful SNL movies. So they were like greenlighting shit left and right. Billy Madison finally got greenlit. This got greenlit, and they didn't even have the script done. Like the script that they had, those 60 pages, was completely fucking changed by the end of the movie.
Well, did you have the list of the alternate titles?
No, I don't.
So Rocky Road was one.
Okay.
Rocky Road. Okay.
Rocky Road.
Beautiful.
Fat Chance.
Fat Chance.
Do you think that's such low-hanging fruit? Did someone trip over that one?
Dude.
There's one of them was just XL.
God.
And then
no wonder Farley had a fatty fall down, go boom combo.
No way.
And then, excuse me. Let's see, Billy the Third, a Midwestern.
Jesus.
That one was scrapped because they were currently filming. Like
Billy Madison.
Billy
yes.
Madison.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't want to step on that one.
Man, I mean, speaking of insecurities, that actually leads me over to shit stuck in my head this week.
Was he bigger than me?
I know it's going to look good on the episode, but it was so fast. It's messed up that I knew what that quote was, even still.
Every time I hear insecurities now, I think about my my samurai just like, mm-hmm.
Yep. Was he bigger than me? So speaking of was he bigger than me, Chris Farley was bigger than us star-wise. Let's stay off the weight stuff. Leaf man, hit us off with some boring
Cut it with
facts.
the fat jokes or I'll sit on you.
I'll sit on you.
Tommy Boy is a 1995 American buddy comedy film directed by Peter Segal, written by Bonnie and Terry Turner, and of course produced by the incomparable Lorne Michaels. Shall we go and do your Lorne impression?
Oh, Chris, we're going to need you to just keep on being fat and funny.
Keep on making the money.
Fatty fall down and go boom. It's funny.
We will not be permitting any time off to finish this. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to fly back and forth to Canada.
And of course, it does star Saturday Night Live castmates and close friends Chris Farley and David Spade.
Yep.
Budget of $20 million. Only actually made $32.7 million in the box office, but of course later went on to be a cult classic. As Chris mentioned, just constantly on TV.
Syndication for sure. And
Man.
we got our again back then your video rentals and all that stuff.
Yes.
I mean, even right now, the only place that you can find this fucking movie is you're gonna have to rent it, or you're gonna have to. I think there was an AMC Plus now that exists, and it was on that.
Yeah, but.
And, Jesus,
Dude.
I'm
Holy
pretty
shnikes.
I'm pretty sure. So I did watch on AMC Plus. I'm pretty sure I had to watch ads.
7-minute ads. They guaranteed just as good a workout as the 8-minute.
Was it 8-minute folk?
Yeah. Well, that's great until someone comes up with 6-minute ads.
6-minute ads.
No, not 6. I said 7.
7's the key, guys. We know that. Jeez.
You idiot.
Yes. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together on this probably till recently, thinking of Dan Aykroyd being an SNL alum. Like, duh, that's a go-to. Like, he's, we'll get to him later on in the movie.
Yeah.
But like he ended up, I think, worked with Farley in something else when he was doing like a bit part or something. So
Right.
Anyway, like they cast Farley, and you just don't think of the Lorne just calling in the heavy hitters for to help these guys along, because Dan Aykroyd, still big name, but even back then that was some box office value.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we go ahead and just point to the elephant in the room that Dan Aykroyd was playing the villain in this by the name of Zelensky.
And here we go.
I thought about that the whole time, Chadwick. I was just like, I steer clear all of the jokes, but they're there. They're sitting right in front of your face. There's a lot of casts. Did you have any notes on Rob Lowe's character? Because I did, actually.
No, I did have some notes that apparently this became a hot girl at school. Rob Lowe was the hot girl at school, and Spade and Farley were like constantly trying to outdo the other for attention for Rob Lowe.
Is that right?
Well,
yes.
Farley got mad at Spade for like going out. He went out to dinner or something with Rob
Farley.
Lowe.
Yeah, Farley. He came back. Farley apparently said he was sick, like he didn't feel very well, so he just was going to bed. Like when they landed from SNL, and then so Spade, I guess, called Rob Lowe and was like, "Hey man, like I'm gonna go grab a drink if you're you want to," and he's like, "Sure." So they grabbed a drink. They had an early call. In the book, like Spade said, Farley's just sitting in his chair. They're doing makeup the next morning. He's like, "How's Rob?" And Spade's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I don't know. How's Rob?" And he just like kept doing that like back and forth. Like he's just like, "Oh, like we had a drink last night."
And I think that kind of speaks to Farley's like insecurity.
Yeah,
we talked about that when we did the Chris Farley episode. Which you guys should all go back and watch.
Go watch in our archives. But I mean, it's sad
it's
too.
Got a banger of a thumbnail, by the way.
You can see like how he is and what he is. Then you find out too, like Farley had some OCD stuff, some ADD stuff, where he's, they said he had to, if he spun to his right, he'd have to spin to his left to unwind it. Like, so there was like some undiagnosed shit that was never taken care of, and which probably led to some of the drugs and stuff.
So if he ate like 40 chicken wings with his left hand, he had to eat 40 more with his right?
more?
Yeah, it's like me when I drink like 6 beers with my right hand. I'm like, well, I got to do it with my left. It's beautiful. Leaf, what do you got on Rob Lowe? Also, by the way,
your waffle never knew.
She don't know.
Whenever I see Rob Lowe in this movie, I'm just like, God, that dude is like all that is cool in this movie. I remember watching this in theaters, and I was like, I want to be that guy.
Dude, his character is so great. He's actually unaccredited on this film.
Yeah, I was reading that
how?
too.
There's so many lines.
He was contractually obligated to Stephen King's The Stand. He was filming that, and he actually did this as a favor to his friend Chris Farley. It says in my notes. So he came to do it just for Chris Farley, and because he's
so they were friends, and Chris still got mad that.
Yeah. I mean, like it's just funny that like it was kind of a, Farley and him would be hanging out, and then Spade would try to no-sell it, but he'd still be a little upset. Like it just became this game. They were basically like fucking brothers. Spade even said the reason that he hasn't gotten married since is he was married with Chris Farley. Like they had that kind of relationship,
And that makes perfect sense because like if you know how you would do with some of your friends if like you went out and hung out and you got left behind for whatever reason it was, you'd kind of rib them a little bit, but maybe there was a little bit of raw and soreness.
No, I don't think we have any friends like that.
But believe it or not, so that's why if you look on the credits, like you're not going to see Rob Lowe's name. It is a huge part of this film. As Chris said, he's not only like one of the coolest guys, he's got some of the funniest scenes, in my opinion, dude. He's really good.
I mean, and like we
film.
talked about, I don't know, was that we talked about in our Breakfast Club the Brat Pack. He was Brat Pack adjacent. So this dude is just going through Hollywood in his life, just living his best life.
His character name was Paul. Is that right?
Yeah, Paul. Yeah.
So Matthew McConaughey was also considered for that role.
Wow, was this been right after or around the Dazed and Confused time, I guess?
Yeah, you know what? I'm getting that from AI. I'm gonna have to check that out. When did Dazed and Confused come out? Because I thought that was actually later. I thought that was like 97.
I found out. I mean, you need to definitely check the AI. It's 1993.
Yeah, so it's possible. It's in the wheelhouse. Okay. Maybe we shouldn't doubt our overlord's AI, Shadwick. Come on.
We shouldn't, except for the fact that I did the synopsis with AI, and I basically had to do the thing from scratch. It was so bad. Like, it was really bad on this movie. I was like, what do you... Dude, that doesn't happen for like 8 scenes, dude.
So before we jump into the actual movie itself, this movie was... being written as they were filming. So like the two writers that are credited for it, they brought in I want to say they brought in Downey. Yeah. So anyway, they just threw a bunch of SNL writers out there, and they were writing it as they were going. And I'll have some stories as we go through kind of what happened, where they were just using personal shit that had happened to them. Hey, put it in the fucking movie because we got to get these pages out.
Just stick it in.
But they were flying. The movie was supposed to be done during the SNL off season. It wasn't. And then so they were flying back and forth, doing SNL, flying out to shoot some scenes, flying back.
Because it was shot in L.A. and Toronto, I believe.
So the L.A. one would suck ass.
Yeah.
So they were having to fly back and forth. And then this is actually what got Mike Myers why he left SNL. He had a movie. He tried to convince Lorne Michaels to let him do this, and Lorne was like...
impression.
No, Mike. Yeah. So anyway, he at least learned this lesson. But goddamn, can you imagine? That's got to be a lot. And the big thing during this, Farley was clean during this entire shoot. So I don't know how you fucking do this shit sober. Like working at SNL, flying, all this shit. Nope. No thanks.
No.
It was rough. He was sober, but he was doing like enormous amounts of caffeine.
Yeah, he was. He always did that.
27 cups of cappuccino a day.
Yeah, and the director actually, I guess it was Fred. I guess that was Fred Wolf. I can't remember.
No, the director was is it Peter Segal or Segal?
Okay, yeah. So he actually made him go run laps because he figured out that he responded more to a coach than a director. And so he was like, when he was jittery and shit, he would be like, or Chris would fuck a scene up. He'd be like, go take a lap. And he was like, it would get that energy out of him, or he'd be like, just do 20 push-ups. And like, it's funny, but he played sports in high school. So.
Well, they didn't have all day though.
Yeah.
But it was like, do 20 teeter-totters.
Yeah.
I remember when we were watching this, like, I was watching this, and my wife was like, dude, he's not even that fat, because they were just the whole movie, he's roasted.
Yeah, he was down to like 220, I want to say, 225.
He didn't look, he was fat, but like he did not look as fat as he was getting.
They said this was probably like the fittest he was. Like he was in a really good place when this happened. And then Hollywood and people fucking suck. God damn.
Yeah, man.
I think your brain has a thick candy shell.
The film opens, of course, with a young and fat Tommy Boy, played by a younger actor, late for school.
Son of a...
And he's just an absolute klutz, man. He's like falling, slamming into shit. He just sucks, and he's running, trying to catch the bus. And we get a quick shot of a young Richard, which will soon be his co-host throughout the movie, on a bike, basically calling him as such.
Late again, Tommy? You're pathetic. Shut up, Richard.
Like, because he's on his bike, because the bus is just leaving him, and it's so funny because he's like running behind the bus. Like, the bus driver has to see him.
Mm-hmm. Holy shnikes! You get your line here.
Holy shnikes!
Yeah, exactly. And so as the dust is blowing from the bus like into young Chris Farley's face, we get this transition to he's in college, going, I believe, to Marquette University, and he's just still the same loser. He's late for like class, and there's dust like blowing, and it's the same thing. Like he's falling, like just. He's just the classic Chris Farley that we all like knew and like know and love, but he's like obviously grown up. I don't know, how old was he in this film? Did either of y'all know? Because like
he'd have to be in his 20s.
Yeah, mid to late 20s maybe. And so evidently we find out he is on his 7th year journey to graduate college. He's in the rugby team or on the rugby team.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Yeah, they're called doctors.
Yeah, and he's an idiot because like he's taking his final exam, and like it's like who signed was the first or the last.
Richard.
Yeah, the answer is like John Hancock, and he puts Herbie
Hancock. Yeah, I just looked it up. He was 30 when they were filming.
So he's 30, dude.
Yeah.
So he's older than I thought. So I knew he was probably mid to late 20s, but okay, a little older. But it's funny. Like he's clearly like a little old for college. I think that's part of the joke that maybe you lose because he still looks young. At least when I watch this again.
I like that they brought that joke back about Herbie Hancock like later on.
Yes, dude.
Like some.
I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick that up till this last time I watched it. Like I just never really paid attention.
He gets like to his dad's office and someone is asking for his dad's signature. He's like, "Can you get your John Hancock?" And he's like, "It's Herbie."
We got a D+. They don't just hand those out.
Oh my God, I passed.
Yeah, because when he sees this, like, so he takes his final exam, and like, when he sees he passed, he's like, you would think he's gonna be devastated about how terrible his score was, but he manages to like just skirt out, and pass. So, partying with his rugby pals, he announces that he's planning on going back to work for his dad at Callahan Auto Parts Factory.
Dude, you know, like I didn't really think about it. So Billy Madison's being filmed at the same time. Another rich dad kid story. Like, SNL just must have had those. I guess like when you go to Harvard and Yale, your parents are probably already rich too. So maybe that's like where these writers are coming from.
So did the writers, were they working off of like an idea that someone pitched, or did the writers come up with the entire story?
The original idea apparently was completely different or morphed over time. But yeah, they finally, when they started bringing the SNL writers, they had the premise down. They just didn't know like the act structure, what's going to happen in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, and because I guess like it really ended up being, this one's going to be a throwaway movie. When one of the studio execs saw, they were like, no score for this, right? We're not going to score this. We're not going to pay for any music. Like this is basically, because it was so rushed, they were like, fuck it, we'll get it out. It has Farley's name on it. We'll make some money and leave. The studio exec watched this, and when the lights came up, she was crying. And she was like, okay, we got to score this. We got to get you guys music for this movie and everything.
Like crying from laughing so much?
No, I think it was the dad stuff.
Well, because we're gonna talk about it. There's some really emotional scenes in this film,
and so because Farley he's an underdog, makes you believe, right? So she was just moved by it, and
Hey guys, do I look different now that I'm a college grad?
And so we get the first scene where he cheers his rugby buddies, takes like a like shotguns of beer, and then like takes a toke out of the
fucking
bong.
A fucking hero hit from the
dude. He almost does a strikeout from Beer Fest.
Almost, yeah. And he passes out. We get like the first real slapstick moment where he's crashing the coffee table, which is just 100% like
an SNL gag,
SNL thing. It's like he's gonna fall onto something, so we get it out of the way in the movie. Like automatically, he's like crashing out. So the next scene. He arrives in Sandusky, Ohio, his hometown, on biplane, and he reconnects with his longtime friend Richard Hayden, a.k.a. David Spade. And David Spade immediately laces into how stupid he is.
And sad he is.
I can't hear you. You're trailing off. And did I catch a niner in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
You guys might not like this, but I enjoy David Spade much more in this movie than Chris Farley.
Yeah, I know. And I thought about that when I was watching this, and that actually doesn't surprise me because on their podcast, Fly on the Wall, sponsor our podcast, you either are a David Spade guy or you're a Dana Carvey guy.
Yeah.
And I'm a Dana Carvey guy, and you're a David Spade guy. And, like, that's it's okay. You're wrong, but, I mean, like, it's okay. No, I'm just kidding. It's just, it's the sarcastic quick wit. Like, it's just that's who you are.
Yeah.
Like that.
I also I tend to agree. Like, I'm also a Dana Carvey guy. However, in this film, I really sort of do agree with Chadwick. Like, he has some of the funniest lines, and like
they ad-libbed some of those lines too. They were talking off camera, and the director, the one where he was like, "Does this suit make me look fat?" And he's like, "No, your face makes you look fat." Yeah. That was off camera. That Farley said that, and Spade said that to Farley, like just going back and forth. And the director's like, "Whoa, what'd you just say?"
Yeah,
like, dude, we got to get that in there,
dude. It's his one-liners on him. It's just
they're
so good.
The little things like he's trying to straighten Chris's tie, and it comes off, and Chris he goes, "Hey, it's a clip-on." Yeah, you sure?
Yeah. His 100% Chadwick.
So he started that Spade with the Gap Girls, or no, not Gap Girls. What was the skit on SNL where he worked? Maybe he worked at the Gap, but he had that condescending. What?
Yeah.
That was he did it in the Gap Girls. I don't know if that was the first time, but yeah, you're right.
And then he did the airplane thing with,
which I think that was only like one or two skits that he even did. The airplane may have only been one. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Here's me. Bye.
Yeah, but I mean that's what they actually.
This
he
is
probably.
Bye. This is me. Bye.
He may have been canned if it. I mean, he was writing stuff too, but they found him. He was reading a newspaper or a Newsweek and was just doing Spade in America. And somebody heard him, like, he was talking to somebody, and they're like, dude, you should do that on camera. Mm-hmm. And I guess, like, they showed it to Lorne, and he was like, yeah, that'll be a segment. And that's what kind of got Spade to be what he was, is the Spade in America, or the Hollywood Minute, or whatever the hell it was. Like,
right.
Because that shit was just, like, supreme roasts of everybody, and it was gold.
And you're right, his wit is very, very quick. His humor's dry, and he's a Weasley-looking kid, man.
Is that what got Eddie Murphy pissed off?
I think so. Yeah, it was the two Tyre episodes together. Yes, it was when Spade roasted him about one of his movies that didn't do so well.
Harlem Nights.
Look, children, it's a falling star. Make a wish.
I think he's like
the falling.
Oh, the falling star.
Yeah, to catch a falling star.
I'll see if I can find it and put it in here. But yeah, man, that was. But that's it. So I mean, like, I thought about that when I was watching it. I was like, I bet. I knew you were a David Spade guy anyway, but I was like, I bet Chadwick will bring it up, and it just got me thinking. I was like, that's why that podcast is perfect to have Dana Carvey and have David Spade, is because, like, they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Because
they are.
Yeah. Really, I think I like Dana Carvey more than Chris Farley. It's just that super high energy is not funny to me. Like where like he slips in the mud or whatever, and he's getting hosed off, and he's doing the I'm a maniac.
Yeah.
That's just not funny to me.
There's also, like, with Farley too, and I realize this, that it's like Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. It's the what if. The what if is very intriguing to us as human beings, but when you watch it play out, you're like, well, I'm sick of them. So like that's I wonder if that play, because after I read the book and after I started doing deep dives, it just I kind of just felt for the guy, because I was like, you could, in hindsight, of course, it's 2020, my friend. That's why I didn't, bet on Mr. T and Rocky 3. But But like, you look back and you're like, okay, so this dude was like OCD. He had all these like undiagnosed issues. He was self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, and all he wanted to do was be liked. That's all he wanted. He wanted people to like him. He was always worried that people didn't like him. And then, you know, Hollywood sucks you up and spits you out and gets their fucking $400 or $500 million out of you. They're still making.
I mean, Hollywood's a spitter. I knew it.
I agree with everything that Chadwick said, and like I feel like there's a lot more standout moments with David Spade in this film, rather than, you know, because they're forcing him. And as you said, which I didn't know, because this movie actually moves sort of at a fairly brisk pace.
Yeah,
which
it's an hour and 30.
I just miss that, man. Like I miss when we just got to the point, and this movie is one of the ones that it's just easy to watch.
It's
like,
the
you don't
same
have
thing
to
we talked about in one of our other early episodes, the montage that like catches you up to speed on who he is, what he is, and why we're here in like 2 minutes.
There's a couple of good montages in this film too, but I could tell you one thing that like when it comes to those really slapsticky moments, I didn't really laugh as much, but Farley has some other moments where he's just it's more of his like verbal humor sort of mixed in with his physical comedy. He's able to join them somehow, and it is one of the then he like buries Spade with his ability.
But
and
see,
his
like
talent.
also the other thing is like, who have we had like Farley since? And there's really not anybody that I can think of, and it's just just that physical comedy on top of he's sharp and timing's good.
So one thing though. I'm going to kind of contradict myself because I just said I don't like the high energy, but when he's like even keel and then he explodes, that shit's funny.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he has good timing. Go back and watch any of his Letterman interviews. They're on YouTube. They're fucking hysterical, but you can see him get amped up, and then he comes down to where he's like basically the Chris Farley show. He's like, remember when, you know, like he's doing that and Letterman saying some shit to him, and then Farley's like, yeah. And then it's like, it's just that little laugh and exhale and look down, and the crowd just fucking loses their shit. Like, it's just, that dude was fully in control, and he made a bad joke or whatever about something. I don't remember. It was something over the line, and then he was like, he says it, and as soon as he says it, he goes, that was bad. I shouldn't have said that. That was bad. Like, he like knows, you know, that it didn't land, and it just, I don't know, good comedic timing on this dude.
It's crazy. So I mean, in the movie, he's all of those things, and that kind of comes. That's kind of a theme throughout.
Right.
It's like in the movie, like Chris Farley again still sort of plays himself. He's just this good-natured person that everyone likes, despite, you know, his how stupid he is, you know, and just he's a clown. And obviously he was in college as well. And so David Spade's not his character. Richard works for the company at Callahan Automotive. And he's tasked with picking Tommy up from the airport and bringing him home. Tommy, of course, he picks him up in his vintage 1967 Plymouth Satellite convertible GTX, I think.
What does he call it? The cherry like this?
Until you said that, I always thought it was a Mustang.
Really?
I guess I never like paid close attention to it.
I actually had to look it up.
Yeah.
That's what it is, but I think he refers it to as a Plymouth GTX, but it's a
John Teague.
Yeah, from now on, anytime we have car questions, I'll just give you guys John T's number. Just text him.
Yeah, John T. John T. We need to verify that. But I looked it up and it said it was a vintage 1967 Plymouth Satellite convertible. I think he calls it a GTX.
Yeah.
And so he picks up Tommy, and they're on their way to Callahan Motors, and he immediately spills M&Ms.
Sounds good. Melted chocolate inside the dash. That really ups the resale value.
Just all through his dash.
Oh, that's good for the resale value.
Yeah. I don't know if that's my OCD, but that part triggers me to no end when it falls down the hole.
Close up to see it go down the hole.
Yeah, I'm just like, there's no getting that out. Like the whole car is ruined now.
Like, I'm bad, especially in cars. If there's like a seatbelt rattling, or if there's any kind of like little ticking or anything, it'll drive me fucking insane. And look, I love my wife unconditionally.
Yes,
but
with this condition,
but roaster
every goddamn time we go somewhere in my car, like the next day on my way to work, there's some kind of like fucking little. She leaves wrappers in the door handle. That's what it is. It's those little plastic wrappers just scraping against the leather. I'm like, God damn it.
She don't know.
Oh shit! Which is so. This is going to be a reoccurring spoiler. This is a reoccurring thing. Poor David Spade's car. He immediately lets you know like that's his baby. He's proud of it. That's the only thing that brings this poor pathetic man any joy because he's just he's sort of a bean counter at Callahan Automotive.
Because like he's just, after we do the M&Ms, he arrives. And this was actually something, too.
Apparently, in real life, David Spade was quite the bean counter.
Yeah.
He looks like he would be.
Dude, he was, man. He had a...
Oh, wait, you're referring to his assorted affairs of models.
He had a higher stab rate than OJ. It's official. Murder's now legal in California. Yeah, man. But like when they show up, and you finally get what is it, Brian Dennehy that plays his dad, Big Tom, and
they get to the.
So this was his idea. Brian Dennehy was like, when I first see my son, we should do this like sumo frat like.
Dude.
Like that should be our because he said Brian Dennehy said in an interview, he doesn't need to play my son, I need to play his dad because it's established Chris Farley, right? So that's so he was like he would be high energy, he would do this.
That's like Tom Hanks taking the kids
from Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump,
yeah. But so like he had that idea like hey he said we'll meet up and we'll do this little sumo wrestling thing and then but that sets the tone like right out of the gate, right? You're like this is their relationship with that one small. It's crazy to find out that was improvised. That he would just day of the shoot.
Yeah, so like he knows that Chris is an idiot, but like that's their relationship. Like he leans into it. He's fun.
I honestly, after watching this, I cannot imagine Chris Farley's dad looking like anyone other than Brian.
No, and I mean his dad. Like I've seen pictures of him and stuff, and his dad apparently was. I'll get into it as we get into the movie, but there's a lot of similarities and stuff like that. And I did kind of gloss over this, but as they're on their way to there, you start to realize like, hey, this town's shutting down.
Hey, what happened to the tire plant?
Shut it down last month.
Basically, like all these factories since Chris Farley's been away to college, working on his doctorate for 7 years.
So
David Spade roasts him. He's like,
So Zelensky is putting all these people's lives in danger?
We're not there yet, Shadwick. But Chris is right. When you said that like this movie was sort of being written on the fly, it kind of blows my mind a little bit because
I don't know how you do that and connect all these dots.
They're driving through the town, and Chris says they're seeing all these factories shut down. The town's in trouble, and it's just sort of laced in there and sprinkled in there between like sort of the comedy jokes between David Spade, and David Spade makes a joke about it's normal to take 7 years to graduate college, if you're a doctor.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do it. They're called doctors. And which is great. Like, what a great acting job David Spade did in this movie because he really just played David Spade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're look, hey, be yourself.
If anybody's looking for like an old show to watch, check out Just Shoot Me. It's David Spade in all his glory.
Nice.
There's some.
Yeah, he plays like a receptionist or like the owner's assistant, and it's just him being just dry-wit asshole. And I love it.
And we just need to get David Spade on the show. I've tried to reach out to him on X with no response, but apparently if you talk shit about him and Dana Carvey, he'll respond to you. So maybe I need to lead with that. Maybe I need to neg him and then
I had a little opportunity a while back where he posted something on Facebook actually, and I responded to it. He liked it, and no shit, someone reached out to me. It was like a chance to have a conversation with him, and I was at work and I just didn't have the time to do it right that second, and I lost out on it.
It's all right, man. We'll get him down the road.
We're gonna get him. And so Chris is right. They do drive him to the factory, and we meet Big Tom a.k.a. Brian Dennehy, and they have their moment. And it's like Chris said, you can clearly see, like, Big Tom loves his son, like, despite the fact that Chris Farley is retarded and is just incompetent pretty much in every way, form, and fashion.
So did Big Tom, did he start this brake company like after he got fired from being a sheriff in that little town where Rambo...
They drew first blood, not me.
Yeah. I mean, surely he lost his job after that, right?
Well, I mean, he had to restart. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, he didn't have any more deputies. So.
No, he definitely did not.
They're all dead. They're all Rambo.
Right, yeah, right before that, like Chris Farley's like incompetence is in full display. They go on a tour, like we got a bunch of executives. Big Tom is like leading. He's trying to show off his new brake pad division. That's what they're working on. So they're like their next big thing in Callahan Automotive.
Because he's working on some financing for it, right? Because he's got to get the financing so he can get the employees to run this new setup.
This new section of the factory, which is already like kind of built. They're in deep with the bank. He had to take out a lot of loans to get this, but it's going to pay off in the long term, right? And that sort of sets the movie up. He kind of shows it off, and he has some investors. He has some of the execs that work at Callahan, and they go through the factory. This is a really important scene because all of the employees there obviously know Tommy.
Yeah,
like they love him like for what he is, right? Like,
dude, I love the scene where he's the dude's like grinding down the parts on the different brake pad parts, and he's like, and Farley's like, "Can I try?" And he's like, "Sure." And they do the whole slapstick like.
Nice distance.
Like it shoots off, and you think like he's gonna be mad, and he's like, "Nice distance," like because you find out like they're all used to this. Like this is Tommy.
Like he grew up there as a kid,
just like Billy Madison.
Yep, 100%. I mean, like I didn't realize it when I rewatch these movies. Now you see them with like research eyes instead of so it's really nice to do that. For me, I enjoy like learning, and so but with this, I started thinking like, damn. Like, this is like Billy Madison, and then you find out they're filmed at the same time.
Did you pick up at the end where he saves the company or whatever? Spoiler alert. They play that same gay-ass music.
Yeah.
I did not catch that.
Yeah, it's like feel-good, up, kind of upbeat.
Yeah, it's that same tone.
They had a lot of stock music for all these movies they would use for stuff like that.
Okay.
Because it's cheap. Like, you pay somebody to write it.
Oh, man. Which, let me say, like, going forward, too, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. This had a banger soundtrack in it. I don't know if there was a Tommy Boy.
It had a banger soundtrack because, like, they went back and then they licensed music to put in it after that one exec was like, dude, let's give you guys more money.
Give you more money? Because like there's a lot of scenes we'll talk about it, but in this particular scene, you kind of get a backdrop of Tommy Boy's character. Yes, he's not very smart. Everybody sort of accepts that as part of his
I'm
character.
retarded.
Yeah, he's got a big heart.
He's got a big heart. His dad loves him, but they
finally killed him.
Yeah. Spoilers, Chadwick.
Spoilers, man.
What are the odds that you will be attacked and killed by your own heart?
And right after this scene. He leads Tommy Boy to his brand new office and his position at Callahan Motors, which is just a cherry position.
You have a window, and why shouldn't you? You've been here 10 minutes.
And since before this, there's sprinkled animosity, and I mean, I realize we all know David's like even watching this back then. Like, obviously, I knew David Spade, I knew Chris Farley, watching from SNL, and you're just used to him sort of like picking on. Chris Farley, but in the context of the film, there's some animosity sort of sprinkled in. David Spade sort of like doesn't really like Chris Farley's character, and you're just like, is it just because you guys are? That's what you do.
Well, they do a good job of like they finally halfway through the movie. We'll get to it, but they finally spill out why. Which is nice. But you know what I thought about too? This is 95 when we watch this, right?
Right.
So nowadays, if you see an SNL skit that's funny. Oh, shit, I've never seen that skit before. You can go back and watch every fucking time they've done that skit if it's the first time you saw it on social media. Back then, man, it was like, if you didn't catch SNL Saturday night, like, good fucking luck. So there was a lot of gags when we first saw this we were seeing for the first time. They may have been used on SNL several times, but if you didn't watch it Saturday night, you weren't seeing it, right?
Yeah. There was no on-demand kind of content for you back then.
We should probably say at SNL, Farley and Spade shared an office, and like they wrote together, whatever. And there was always Farley was always messing with him. He was always trying to distract him. That's where the fat guy in the little coat came from.
But like Farley didn't write. Right, he was one of those ones that he was.
Really?
He would come up with some ideas here and there, but he primarily wasn't a writer. So he would pitch shit to people. He would do bits for people that would write it. But it was so it's different. Where Spade, which also in real life I can see where that would create animosity. It's like you're doing all the work, or you're writing these skits, you're coming up with these concepts, and this dude just goes out and fucking slays every time he's in front of the camera, and you're like, God damn it, I just did that. I wrote that for you.
It took Spade quite a while to get on camera.
Yeah.
Like that's usually the process. Like they go in it as a writer, and after they kind of prove their worth or whatever, then they get to go on screen with something that they've written.
Right. Because the geniuses at SNL didn't want Sandler on screen and said he tested negatively. One of the biggest fucking stars of our generation.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to throw it back. So everybody has friend groups that there was just this person who had just a level of comedic intelligence where he's just like always off the fly and he could always make you laugh. I know if we're talking about my friend circle with Chris, I just want to shout out Robbie, man. That guy, God, I couldn't stand him, dude. Like I felt like the David Spade, like where I had to like concentrate on my comedy or make funny jokes. I didn't feel clever like that guy. And everything he said was funny, man.
But see, like I feel like in our group too, though, it's like I feel jealous of everybody in our group, though. It's like you. Like Leaf, like so many people. I remember talking to Gibbs and Gibbs being like, Leaf's the funniest fucking person I've ever met in my life. Like, and then like, Shadwick, like.
Exactly. I'm hearing this for the first time too.
Yeah.
What?
No, like Shadwick though, like, when we're hanging out for the first couple of times, I'm like, God damn it, how's he think of that? Like, how does he get that? Or how does he pull that? Like, and then same thing, I'll think about that with Gibbs.
He has a door handle made out of an ass man.
How does he think of this? But that's what I mean. Like, I feel like we're kind of like an embarrassment of riches. Not obviously SNL writer levels as some of these people. We're not Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, but you can get that, right?
You could sense it. And like everyone can has if you've had friend groups of people, there's just people who were like cerebrally funny, and there's people who were just like naturally funny, and there's people like Chris Farley that they're just unintentionally hilarious.
Right.
Right? And you have all these personalities.
I just had an idea. Could we create a clothing line of just hoodies and basketball shorts and call it like Sandman?
The Sandman? Done.
I think we could sell the shit out of that.
Adam Sandler, sponsor our podcast.
Dude, we saw you at the Oscars, dude.
We saw you, dude.
Yeah.
You dressed like me at the Oscars. Thanks.
Man, he don't care.
Yeah.
Dude.
Speaking of
my
star
balls,
power, then
my
you
balls
cut.
was hot.
My balls
This
was
next
hot.
scene.
Yeah, dude. You just cut to Rob Lowe, just handsome as fuck, getting off a bus, just knowing that every woman on that bus is like, please. They have one of those like humidity meters on the bus, and they're like, why is the humidity going up so much when Rob Lowe's on this bus?
Why can't any of the women stay in their seats?
They keep sliding everywhere.
But this was such a small part. This was such a small part, but it made me laugh out loud the other night. He gets off the bus and he's standing there. What does he crack open a drink or something?
Yeah, he's like drinking
milk.
a chocolate milk. It's like a cafeteria kid's chocolate milk.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
But in the window behind him, this kid's like making faces, and he just like.
Yep.
Like, it's a glass.
He slams it, and then he just crunches the fucking milk carton up and then drops it in a baby carriage. Yeah.
So look, we were watching that the other night, and it reminded me. I know you're familiar with the restaurant First Watch.
I've been acquainted.
Yeah. So we were there. It's been a while back now, but we were there. It's a Sunday morning. I'm sure I was hungover.
And it was a Sunday morning.
And this it was this like adorable, like cute little black kid was behind us. And like normally, I abhor kids like bounce around in the seat behind me or whatever.
Being annoying.
But this kid like actually like approached me. Like he leaned over and like it just like in the cutest way, he's like, "I lost a tooth," and I go, "You want to lose another one?"
You want a fist in the mouth?
And he just, but like to his credit, like he just laughed, like he got that I was joking.
Yeah.
And I mean, how old is this kid? He's losing teeth, like 5.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, you start. Yeah, I think around that time.
That kid actually went on to be Chris Rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, little did you know.
Yeah, we're 70 years old. All right.
Cheers.
You gotta make the timeline make sense.
This is what does it, guys.
It's the booze. We're pickling ourselves.
Yeah, it preserves you.
Dude, but how about this next scene, bro?
Okay.
Because I've got it. Let me cue it up. Because then,
I'm so excited.
he's gonna, Big Tom's gonna show old Tommy Boy a surprise.
Another surprise. He gave him his own office. Oh, by the way, that Rob Lowe scene makes no sense. You don't know who he is. He just gets off the bus and just starts being a dickhead immediately. So, and then we go to the next.
Yeah, that is a little like disconjointed.
It was. It was one of the funniest scenes because we were laughing about it, but it doesn't. You don't know who he is. You just like
it looks like
he's Rob Lowe.
It's like the bad cowboy coming into town.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. That's a good analogy.
That's a very good analogy.
But man,
with this scene,
you see like this beautiful woman coming out of the pool with
rockin' chicks.
I like that the fucking
she would have been if she didn't have her goddamn hair cut off. Like
I don't like the short hair, but
really,
but Bo Derek is fucking amazing. She's hot. She's been around for fucking did a bunch of stuff. Like is just gorgeous.
I looked it up. She was 38 years old and just smoking.
But they had to cut her hair short to make her look older. They had to because she had to look older for this role.
She did.
So she was 38 in this movie?
She's 38 in this movie. Okay. And, I mean, like we just established, Tommy was like 30.
So if you go back and watch, like you can see they purposely did makeup to make her look older. They cut her hair short to make her look older because she has to be, marrying his dad, right? So it's got to make sense.
I thought she was older. Like for real, I thought she was.
Yeah, I did too until I looked it up. But it's because they did the makeup they did because Bo Derek's fucking gorgeous.
Was she a Sports Illustrated chick?
Sure.
Man, she's been in a lot of she was a model obviously and had like
she still looks good.
Dude, she's still looking good, dude. She's still looking good, guys. And
sandwiches all the time.
But Chris is right because she had to play Tom Dennehy's potential like hot piece, and if you assume she's younger than him, like he looks like he's like in his late 50s to me in this film, like he's supposed to be. I think
she did a lot. She did a lot of acting. But I think if they'd kept her hair long, did her makeup difference, and she's younger, then you're thinking out of the gate gold digger.
Yeah.
But with the way she looked when I first saw this movie, I didn't think like that was the furthest thought from my brain was that she's just after his money.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like it bridged that age gap with them, so it made sense.
And
what,
so what
was the deal with the braid or the beads in her hair? Like, was that just a photo, like a famous photo shoot? I guess.
I think so. Yeah.
Because
that's what they even reference it on Always Sunny. I think Dee did it once, and they call it the Bo Derek look. But yeah.
She was a famous hot
bitch.
She was a famous hot piece from back in the day. But when Big Tom introduces his son Tommy to her, she's like just the sweetest woman. And he breaks the news that he's proposed to her. They're literally getting married like the next day. The next day, right? Like so, and she's super nice. Like Chris said, you don't think like anything nefarious, which you find out later. It's anything but innocent.
But that's what I liked about it. I liked that the casting for this because now she's really nice to Tommy. She's getting married, and she her son. Rob Lowe then shows up, so then those dots are connected. But you already kind of know, like, well, this dude's a dick. Plus his demeanor through the whole movie, he's just rolling his eyes, like too cool for school type dude.
He's an asshole, but in contrast, Tommy Boy meets him when Rob Lowe shows up to the house.
Yeah.
His name's Paul in the movie. When Paul shows up to the house, Tommy Boy's like,
"You must be Tommy."
Brothers don't shake hands. brother's got a hug.
He's just immediately accepting of him, which just again shows.
Well, he always
his
wanted a
character.
brother. Yeah, he always wanted a brother. So this is like
his chance to like.
And you can tell he's been warned about him too. He's like, oh, you must be Tommy. Like
we may actually be underselling how good looking Rob Lowe was.
That's what I mean.
This dude was so good looking that Zac Efron had plastic surgery to look more like him.
More like him.
Yeah. No,
Dude.
Rob. Even in this movie, Rob Lowe is like one of the hottest guys like on the planet, and that's according to literally everyone.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
it's him and Paul Rudd. If I can get some of that DNA, please.
Just give me a little
just
sprinkle.
a little sprinkle. But anyway, so they go out. Now he's going to take his brother out. So Tommy's taking Paul out
because they're going to bond.
They're going to bond, and he lets him know that his mom would definitely be if he showed her to his college buddies, would be boner of the month.
No offense, but if I sent a picture of your mom to some of my buddies at school, she'd definitely be boner of the month.
And it's primarily due to
rockin' chicks.
That part had me crying, dude. It was just like your mom would definitely be boner of the month.
Straight face,
the part that got me was at the wedding reception when one of the employees was talking about like good for Big Tom. Like,
oh yeah,
God, if I could just get a piece of that.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Oh, dude, it's so funny.
But we get the there's nothing to do in the town, as we talked about earlier. It's all been shut down. So Farley's going to take him cow tipping. Of course, we have the slapstick moments we talked about earlier. Where
Holy shnikes! Hey, get off my property! Run for it!
he slips in the cow shit, and then he's going to be washed off at the mud, quote unquote, that's going to be washed off of at the gas station. Farley does the maniac, running, and it's just, you get to see this contrast between Rob Lowe and Chris Farley, where it's like all Farley wants to do is be accepted by this dude, and all Paul wants to do is to get the fuck away from Farley.
All Paul wants to do is find out if Tommy ate paint chips as a child.
Yeah,
which is a recurring joke.
That's funny to me.
Yeah, it was funny because he actually acts slightly mentally handicapped, obviously, in this film.
But to move the story along, we do go back to, he goes to work the next day after we had their little adventure. So you've got everything set up now. Hey, like, he's kind of a dick. Like, he doesn't like Tommy. You can start to sniff something's up here. Mm-hmm. And you have this bit that Farley does here, man, where he gets offered the donut, and he does the Farley thing, like, I have a little bit of a weight problem.
Doctors
like that.
say I have what it's called, and you expect him to say condition.
Yeah.
He just says a weight problem.
I used to grab bear claws as a kid, 2 at a time, and I'd get them lodged right in this region here.
How about some coffee?
I'd love some.
And so we meet the love interest,
Julie Warner, right?
Julie Warner, yeah, Michelle. We meet her.
So she said, she was in that book too, and she said Farley was so basically like the character, like he was standoffish, or like not standoffish, but just really nervous around her. He wouldn't look at her like when they were off screen. And she finally like took him out. She was like, "Can we have lunch today or something?" Mm-hmm. And then like he's told her like in his trailer, he's like, "I can't believe like I'm having lunch with you in my trailer." And like she was like, but like 10, 15 minutes in, she finally broke him where he was like a normal person. Like he just was,
I bet he was scared shitless he was going to pop a boner or fucking fart or something.
But yeah, so she
what if
actually
fuck up.
Yeah, shit is fucked up. But yeah, man, so she said that she did that just so. And then, after that, like, their screen chemistry is amazing in this. It's really good. But
it is good.
She said he was just such a genuinely good person that she had to kind of break that little barrier there.
So she was in his trailer, but she was also in a movie called Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox.
And that was actually a joke that Farley kept saying. Remember when you were naked in Doc Holliday was like the recurring gag that he kept saying to her. Yes, which made her be like
nipples like pencil erasers.
So she said that's why because he was just nervous, so he was just like, remember when you were naked and Doc Holiday?
Like, she's like, yes. She's like, that was awesome.
That was awesome. So what she said it was just like the fucking Chris Farley show. And so like that's actually what led to that like little lunch thing. That's so fucking
so
funny.
Great.
Well done.
So funny, dude, man. And so we come to after we meet her, we find out it's this important like plot point. Actually, I should mention it. She is actually in shipping, right? She doesn't use a file cabinet. She's really weird and eccentric, but she doesn't
trap.
Yeah. She has her own system that she uses to sort of like work in.
I'm in the system.
System.
Yeah, shipping.
She doesn't bathe regularly. She has a weight problem.
And she's also one of the only
naked and Doc Holiday.
Hollywood.
Like pencil erasers. But she's the only one in the movie that defends him. He's getting picked on by some of the other employees there. She immediately like kind of takes up for him, and that's kind of how their relationship like kind of forms. And she was his old high school friend too. Like they went to the same high school, they knew each other, and so they sort of like are reuniting here. She works for the obviously the shipping department in Callahan. And, they kind of have an immediate connection. Like Chris said, their chemistry online is good. But we quickly come to the major plot point of the film. This is what kicks everything off. The big day. Big Tom's getting married to Beverly and her rockin' tits.
And they're going to get it on.
And much like every wedding that's ever happened in WWE, something terrible happens at the wedding.
Something terrible, but not before before Big Tom. Like, so they get married. Big Tom is obviously decides to give like his big speech. Oh, also during the reception though, he's wheeling and dealing.
Still the best, Tom.
8 whiskey sours and still sell the son of a bitch. Damn, I'm good.
Like stick my head.
7 whiskey sours. And,
7 whiskey sours, and he still sells this one guy who is unsure. I don't know why that guy's at the wedding, but he's doing work while he's there. That's just like that was his character, right? Like Big Tom was a seller.
He could get a good look at a T-bone by sticking his head up the bull's ass, but he'd rather take the butcher's word for it.
Yeah, which is one of the lines. Yeah, like and Tommy's there laughing. He's like, yeah, ass, and it's just he's just watching his dad work. It's
same joke.
Big Tom is having the day of his life. Like he can't lose. He decides to do a duet with Tommy. And they sing together.
It's a fun scene.
And it's an awesome scene. That's what makes it so tragic, is they're actually having a really good time. You sort of don't see it coming if you've never seen the film before. But unfortunately, like during the song, like Big Tom clutches his chest and collapses and tragically dies of a heart attack, leaving Tommy and, of course, the company that he started in complete disarray. And it's actually like freaking sad. Like it really is sad.
And it really just it does that weird cut where he's like they're looking down at him on the ground, and then they do the cut where they're at the casket. I always like those little
transition.
That transition's cool.
Really good. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you called that out, because he leans over as the medics and everybody's trying to tend to him, and then when he leans back, they're at the funeral. And like
so he's dead.
Yeah, so he's actually dead. And then there's this really, like, it kind of hammers it in. And I just want to shout out to Tom Dennehy and Chris Farley in that scene. They were able.
Is it Tom Dennehy?
No.
What is his first name?
What is his nim?
Paul
Dennehy. Brian Dennehy.
Brian, sorry.
Dennehy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Brian Dennehy.
Big Tom.
Shout out to both of Brian Dennehy and Chris Farley. They actually were able in such a short amount of time. I think they have like 3 scenes, 4 scenes together to make you
rope
really
you in,
feel their bond, and it hurts to see. It's such a
and it hurts.
Yeah,
again, because Chris said like they were kind of writing this like on the fly. The movie's put together really well. You kind of feel this death. It's really sad, and he's on a little a
little rat boat. Yeah,
a little rat boat, but he calls it and he's just like, yeah, my dad. He's with Michelle. He takes Michelle out.
So this actually was one that surprised a lot of people. This scene, and what he did was Farley said that he put himself into talking about his real dad because him and his real dad were so close.
And he gets glassy eyed in that scene, and that is, I was gonna say, it takes a very high caliber actor to fake that. I do not think Chris Farley was faking it.
So what happened with this scene? This, from what I've read, this was the scene where Hollywood was like, "Oh, we got something now."
Yeah.
So like,
I wish for that point that he had not passed away, because I don't know what it is, but people that come from a comedic background, they end up being phenomenal drama actors.
Yeah. Dude, he was cast for the Cable Guy. He was going to be.
Look at Robin Williams. Look at Robin Williams.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Like it's the what if, but this scene is when Hollywood was like, okay, and they just start throwing scripts at this dude because they're like, not only is he funny, but like he can actually act too. So let's.
He had the chops.
I think that comes, and this is just a fucking Shadwick theory, but I think people mask trauma or contempt with comedy, and that leads them into a career in comedy, but they still have that like tortured soul. So when they eventually get those like dramatic roles, they kind of sink their teeth. Yeah, sink their teeth into it.
Dude, 100%. Yeah,
I agree with you. And in this scene, you really get to see Chris Farley's acting chops. Like he's talking about his dad, and like he makes I think the most relatable scene is when he's like, so when I was younger, he's telling the story about his dad to Michelle. They're on this little tiny little boat, and he would say, I would be out here in the summer times.
We'd come out here late at night when there's no one else on the lake, and then he'd be over there on the shore, and he'd yell, "Quit playing with your dinghy."
And he makes this sort of lame joke, but the scene is so sad because obviously he's gone now, and he immediately transition over. He's just like, I miss him.
Yeah, no, it's gut-wrenching.
Gut-wrenching, dude. Because it's like, and Chris Farley is seamless in this scene, and Michelle, for her part, is, immediately like, I'm sorry, this is...
But they do a good job, too, of like, they don't linger, because it's a comedy, so they don't linger too long on this. They have the kids heckling them on the fucking shore.
They transition immediately, so it turns into a comic relief scene. As the kids are heckling him, and they basically both threaten the young children with humor.
and that's what I was talking about earlier, where like instead of just being full on like high energy all the time, like he goes from that like solemn performance to like exploding at those kids, and that's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
You better pray to the God of skinny punks that this wind doesn't pick up, because I'll come over there and jam an oar up your ass.
100%, man. So,
it was really fun. Yeah, that scene is really, really funny. So you kind of like it jerks you. They're like you really need this scene again. I can't believe this is written on the fly, Chris. Like this is what they said, man. So good, man.
And I'll tell you, like some of the scenes are coming up where they did write this on the fly, like certain jokes and gags and shit. Like the premise, from what I understand, they got the premise, but then they had to you have to have meat in here, right? You can have that's from A to B. That's our thing. If you don't get as good a workout in the 7 minutes, we'll guarantee you the extra minute for free. That's A to B. But so when they're at this meeting now with the executives, because they're having to figure out what they're gonna fucking do, and you find out Tommy has shares and his new wife has shares.
Yes.
So with that, now you start to see like, okay, are they gonna sell? Or what are they gonna do? And then Tommy has the idea, hey man, like I'll try to save the company, and then they're like, you can't do it alone. And then he looks over at David Spade, and now we have
I don't know much about this stuff, but he does.
Oh no.
buddy comedy on the fucking road now. So they're gonna go do these sales things, right? That his dad was gonna do.
They are, and it's more important than just saving the company from all the people's jobs, because you find out that the town sort of it's being held up by this factory, dude.
Yeah.
And if Callahan Motors collapses and has to sell, all these people lose their jobs, and then the town goes under too.
And that's when the whores come in.
Here we go.
Well,
which is my wife's favorite bit,
dude.
So
and to be honest, you don't want another Detroit. We already have one.
So in this board meeting, you got all these like stuffed shirts like sitting around, right?
Fucking stuffed shirts.
And this one old like white-headed lady, she's like, and that's when the whores move in.
and the parallel with Billy Madison is that damn Sasquatch.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Men laying their trick money down, $20 to pay the rent. Maybe instead I'll spend it on the whore.
But they keep going back to the well. I think she says something like 3 times.
Yes,
and it's broken up. But one of them is talking about like spending your rent money on that trick or something like that.
Yeah, it's $20 for rent. No, let's just spend it on the whore.
Yeah. And she's looking at the guy next to her. Like she's accusing him. Like,
yep, 100%.
Guys, I rewound that scene 3 freaking times. So I'm trying to do the synopsis, and I'm like, I can't concentrate. It's so funny. My wife's watching, and like she has to. We watch it 3 different times, and it's just as funny every time because if you notice, as soon as she says it the first time, it cuts to the other executives and they start rolling their eyes, and you realize it's not the first time.
It's not the first time this has happened. Yeah,
yeah, and then finally, you assume it's her husband at the with the other execs. It's like I went to a whorehouse one time in Vietnam, and she'll never let me live it down. And it's like,
God, dude, it's so. And it follows to Shattuck's point. Follows the rule of 3. Has the the whole the person you don't expect to say it again. It's that damn Sasquatch. If peeing your pants is cool, it's Miles Davis. Like,
but it takes it to another level because they break it up. Like, she doesn't make 3 jokes in a row. It's like she makes.
Oh, but that's like sometimes that's sometimes the best like rule of 3 though. Like it's still you still go back.
Whores running around doing their little behind shake for the menfolk.
I kind of like her idea.
You got to go back to the well, and then breaking it up makes you not. You
forget it. You forget it's happening. Yeah,
you're like, that was funny scene, and then they come back to her, and you just immediately
still harping on it.
Still mad, dude.
Dude.
So the plan is, like Tommy volunteers to save the company, and obviously he is an idiot. We've already established this. Everybody knows that, but he employs David Spade.
He has to get Shut Up Richard to help him.
He does, who is a bean counter, but knows the business. He knows all of the stuff to help. So
he's a red carpet bean counter.
And they're off on their road trip, this is where the movie really sort of begins. They're off trying to save the company, because if they don't sell all of these brake pads to these distributors, they can't pay the loan back that they've already taken out, and the company goes under.
I don't know, like we have, you have in here, and especially in the notes, that there's a whole bunch of, hey, like there's the Richard ripping on Tommy throughout this thing. There's this one joke I did to one of our friends that he almost got so fucking mad that he almost punched me. We were in a band. I was like 20, 21, and we were looking at this map, and we were lost going to this gig. And I was like, well, you have the map again. This is backward maps. And he pulls the map out, and I was like,
okay, where's Moron? Okay, Moron's here, so.
And he got so fucking
Who was this?
This is Justin. He got so fucking
You
mad.
did that to Justin?
he got so fucking mad, and I'd ripped it from Bill. Bill Jones had done it to somebody too. So anyway,
so obviously
that joke.
Speaking of friends getting mad, though, we talked about like Chris getting mad at David Spade for going out with Rob Lowe that night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That actually came to like a physical altercation.
Yeah, he stepped on the tuna sandwich.
Yeah, and then yeah. So Chris he steps on Spade's sandwich, like stomps it. So Spade like throws his Diet Coke at him, and then they actually
Farley pushes him
like down some stairs or something, right?
And then they yelled action for whatever scene they're in, and they just like walked in the scene. Spade sat there for 2 minutes and said "fuck this," and then stormed out and went back to his room. And then I guess they just, in classic actor fashion, they just finished it later on and pretended like it didn't happen. So
wow, I did not know that. Do y'all know what scene it was?
I don't.
In this movie,
I don't. But I don't feel like it was in David Spade's best interest to get into a physical altercation with Chris Farley.
No,
it wasn't.
They address that in this film, and they handle it like differently than you would expect because of that.
Which I wonder is, while they were writing this, as they were going, I wonder if like that fed into them writing the fight scene, like where.
Now that you said that, all bets are off, dude. They may have been like, yeah, Chris will kill you in a real fight. That's not funny. Watching a large man beat a little man. So they made it funny like later on in the film, which we'll talk about. But
Okay, where's moron? Okay, moron's here, so...
Because, again, this is before GPS. You had to figure out where you were going on a piece of paper.
Like you were like one of my finer moments in life.
You had to figure out where you were going like you were a damn pirate, dude. Like with a map.
This may have been before MapQuest.
Oh, yeah.
This was 100%.
This was 1995. It was filmed in 94, probably.
So they're just using like an old frog map.
Yeah,
like,
dude. Yep.
Yeah.
That you had in your fucking dashboard.
Yeah.
And you would literally had to look. And guys, I know most of you have it. If you're younger, you haven't messed with these maps. If you're watching
They
this,
suck.
They fucking suck.
Also,
and
guess
really
what? You can't do this and make it like enhance it.
No.
You just have to stare at these tiny fucking lines.
Yeah.
Enhance that image.
Yeah. And if you if you ask somebody, which they do here, like soon in one of the scenes, they'll just be like, "Well, you got to head south on 24." It's like, which way is south?
Yeah.
like you're looking around the room. Show me point south.
Like, like, okay, so west is here, east is here, and moron's here.
Well, south is always behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be for
no
all
matter
of
where
us.
you're at, man.
No
So,
matter where you're at.
so yeah, this is
mouth to south.
Yeah.
So they.
This is the disastrous sales pitches and everything like that.
They make it to their first. This is really important. So they make it to their first destination to sell the brake pads, and it's Chris Farley's turn to sort of, because the guy's like kind of back and forth. Like immediately, a bunch of people reject them straight out of the gate.
Yeah,
you know, maybe. Yeah,
yeah. And he's not Farley. He's not even like trying.
No,
he's like, okay, thank you.
He doesn't know anything about selling, and like even the funny part was like David Spade's like, listen. You know, no matter what happens, we don't take no for an answer. Meaning, you have to like work these people up and sell them. So yeah, immediately Chris Farley's like, when they tell him news, like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
And so they come to one guy who's like, okay, he's sort of on the verge of it, and they have a chance to sell this man. And Chris Farley goes into one of my favorite scenes in the entire. There's models on this distributor's desk, and he just recreates a scenario of death and destruction if he doesn't buy Callahan Motors brake pads.
I gotta go to the bathroom, Daddy. Not now, damn it. Truck tire. I can't stop. Help!
And he's screaming as the car crashes. Yeah, and he like has a light. He has a lighter or a candle, and he just lights the car on fire.
Oh my God, we're burning alive! No, I can't feel my legs. In comes a meat wagon. Woo, woo, woo.
What before this though? This is too where you start to find out that people don't like Richard. So like the guy's like, I don't like you, and I probably never will. Like that's said once or twice in this, where he's just not a likable character. But but you know, Tommy has it. He still has that lovable. These guys want to do business with him.
And
he's just dumb.
They knew his father too.
Correct.
Which matters, right? A lot of them say condolences as they're meeting them. I'm sorry about your dad. I knew him. And you're right. So Chris Farley has sort of this charisma, and immediately it cuts off one of the plot points for people being like, why can't David Spade just sell? You know, well, he's a bean counter. He's analytical. He's not very likable, and he isn't. He's an asshole from the first scene you see him. So like nobody likes him. Clearly, because he can't control his mouth.
I like you, David Spade. But yeah, so they finally get a maybe, and Farley's like, you know, he's like, well, I'll tell you why you should get our brakes, you know, and he simulates this wreck, this horrific accident with these model cars, and like it's funny at first, like he's doing the like crashing, he's breaking this model, but then like the dialogue that he puts into the people like it's like, oh my God, my legs, oh my,
and then he lights it on fire.
Yeah.
He lights the fucking car on fire is what got me.
What are they like when he first starts? He's like, oh my God, I can't stop. And then when he's screaming with the family, he's like, we're on fire. I can't feel my legs.
Dude. So fucking good.
That's what got me.
Yeah.
I can't feel my legs.
I can't feel my legs.
So it doesn't work, obviously. They get kicked out. So here's one of the ones that when they were writing this on the fly, this is when which is a great line too, where the door fucks up, you know, this is where you get the morons here or whatever. So Tommy has the car and he pulls the wrong way, so the door, goes the other way and basically rips off. So
they're at the gas station, and
those bumpers or whatever that
the car's like too far up for him to put gas in. So the door's open, he's backing up, and he hits one of those like yellow like metal poles, right?
Yeah.
And the door just goes completely the opposite direction.
So the riders, when they were riding this happened to one of the riders, that he bent it slightly the other way doing this, and they were like, okay, put it in. Like, that's literally what they were at this point. They were just like, do you have any funny gags that happen? Like, let's just put them in this fucking movie.
Can y'all make a gag, please?
And this may be the one thing that I quote more from this movie than anything else. So while Richard is inside the gas station, Farley, he like puts the door back in place or whatever. He gets back in, and then Spade comes back and he opens the door and it just fucking falls off.
Yep,
and,
the line.
And he goes,
"What'd you do?"
How many times I fucking use that at the theater at fucking nauseum with like fucking seat cushions and whatever, and somebody touching them, you're like, what'd you do?
Yeah, something was clearly broken and you made it look like it was okay. And then when it fell apart, as soon as somebody touched it, it's like, bro, you broke that, dude. Like, I don't think anyone hasn't not done that ever. So that was a classic scene.
So to speed this one along a little bit, you do finally, we get the reveal now, man. The reveal's happening where you pan back to Sandusky, and you find out that old Bo Derek and Paul Rudd are not mother and son.
Paul Rudd's not in this movie.
I'm sorry, excuse me. You find out that Rob Lowe and Bo Derek are no longer father and son. You know what? They're both handsome guys. I just want to hang out with both of them.
Dude, me too. I mean, they're both vampires.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't age. But you find out
it's a shocking moment because Beverly and Paul like start making out, and you're like, oh, and you get it. They're both scammers.
Well,
right?
they do a good job of he's like says something, mom, and she's like, gross, don't call me that.
Yeah.
So they really kind of establish it then, like, hey, these
really help.
They're
the
together.
audience.
Yeah, they're together.
It's not some gross Dommy mommy scene,
right?
And this comes to my sister's favorite part, and it's also integral to Paul, or AKA Rob Lowe's character. Like they're talking about scamming, like their original plan was to bleed Big Tom dry, like from his money slowly, like over time. But he kicked the bucket, leaving them a bunch of shares, which are worthless currently because the company's like
in disarray,
in the hole. So they're kind of like, well, what are we gonna do? And Paul's character's like, it's fine. Tommy Boy's an idiot. He's going to fail, and then when he fails, we'll sell the company off, and then we'll collect all the money, and it's all good. And he's like drinking, he's finishing a beer. He comes to my sister's favorite part, dude. She freaking loves this part. And he's like, this is what I think about Callahan Motors. He whips out his penis and starts pissing like on one of the signs.
So just so I can, come in on the central thesis here. Your sister's favorite part is where Rob Lowe whips out his penis.
Yes. That is it. Okay. Yeah. And as he's pissing,
this is what I think of Callahan. Tommy saved the factory. That's a laugh.
Dude, he gets fucking shot across the goddamn parking lot.
He pisses on a generator on accident. It just gets hilarious.
Hey, I know we're kind of running long, but I got to tell you guys a quick story. When I was a kid, about 10, 11 years old, I had this huge dog, Alaskan Malamute. Mm-hmm. He's like 120 pounds. We had a chain link fence around the whole backyard. There was this kid lived across the street, and I found this out like later on, but he had like a metal curtain rod, and he would go over there and like just like rake it across the fence to aggravate my dog, right? Well, my dad had put an electric fence around the bottom to keep the dog from like digging out. Mm-hmm. And that kid, I saw this happen. He hit that electric wire with that fucking metal curtain rod, and it was the exact same thing. It blew him back like 7 feet. Like sparks flew and everything. I swear to God, I think when he got up, his hair was smoking.
Oh God, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, fuck you, Justin.
Yeah.
Sorry, Justin. You got what was coming to you, just like Rob Lowe.
Yeah, just like Rob Lowe, man. So
but that's a recurring thing for his character. Like he's obviously one of the primary bad guys, but he's also a klutz. Kind of, and that we'll review that shortly. But this is the first time something bad happens to him, and he's just sort of in a klutz. Like he makes mistakes.
If that happened to me, I would just hope it swelled.
I'd be like, hey, look at this.
So we jump back to Tommy Boy and Richard on the road, and we come to probably one of the more famous scenes. It's even in the poster. I think it's in the trailer, maybe even two. They're back on the road, and Richard and Tommy are fighting and arguing over the map. And when they suddenly a deer.
Sport. Yeah, look, Magellan, we're at this wrinkle here.
Appears out of nowhere.
And this is one of those. I really thought it was funny in '95, and now it's like funny one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and you just glaze over it when you go watch the movie again.
Yeah,
it's a shock. It's a shock value gag.
It'd be a lot funnier if it was in Vegas and it was a tiger.
Yeah,
it would. Very, very, very true. And so, like, they run over this deer.
I keep forgetting about the fucking tiger.
Mm-hmm.
They kill it. They assume it's dead. It's laying there. And I think one of the funniest parts in the scene now, because Chris is right, the shock value is sort of like over with when it comes to that. Like it's their reaction. They're both really soft-hearted, and they feel really like so bad.
You saw what happened. There's nothing I could do, right?
Maybe if you didn't lean over to insult me, you would have seen it coming.
Shut up, Tommy. It's not my fault.
Poor little furry thing.
And so, logically, they don't want to leave it there in the road. So for some reason, they load it up into David Spade's car. Like the corpse, right? They like stuff it in there. And then they go on to see like another client, and that's when Chris Farley has this like mini breakdown.
I'm out here getting my ass kicked, and every time I drive down the road, I want to jerk the wheel into a goddamn bridge embankment.
He's like pulling his hair up, talking about steering the car, and that part made me laugh again. Like this is yet another not a slapstick moment for Tommy Boy or for Chris Farley's character, but it's so funny, like
the
how
he's dark humor. Like
it's real dark, because he talks about
but it's great timing too,
unaliving himself because he's not doing a good job. He can't sell any of these brake pads.
Yeah.
He's doing his best. He knows everything is on the line, and he sucks. And he's having this breakdown, and this guy's just like, "You're a psychopath. Get the hell out of my office." It's so funny, dude. And then so they're on the road later that night, and they're arguing about what to do with the deer's corpse, and they decide to take it to a vet. They say and they're on their way. The deer isn't dead.
It's alive!
Right, yeah.
Of course.
You get a dirt moment here, and then
it rips through what's left of David Spade's car. The door is off. The deer wrecks the complete and total interior. The convertible part completely
goes
ripped off,
man.
Destroyed. And that's one of the funny parts, as we mentioned earlier in the very beginning of the podcast, that David Spade's the destruction of his car is
throughout. Yeah, so
is completely throughout.
So then they get to the motel here,
which is an important scene for Chadwick, especially too.
But you get to see. You do get to see Dan Aykroyd's first, his debut in this movie. He's Ray Zielinski.
America, if you need starters, spark plugs, ball joints, gaskets, camshafts, U-joints, or rocker arms, anything that can be screwed or glued to that car or truck of yours, come see old Ray.
And, he's going to sell the parts to the American people or whatever. He holds this guy in high regard. Because he's a high guy in the auto parts industry, right?
And he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah,
every man.
Yeah, he seems like it, but he's really just scamming Americans out of money.
How odd! You do get the like Chadwick mentioned earlier, the infamous fat guy in a little coat, which used to happen in SNL studios, as David Spade recounts.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Take it off, dickhead. I'm serious.
Richard, what's happening?
Timeless gag, but Spade said, Farley would be like, David.
Yeah, I swear to God, it better not be Fat Man in a little coat.
David.
It's not.
Yeah, and then he just does the fat guy in a little coat. He rips his jacket or whatever, so the gag kind of ends there. But man, it's funny that they took some shit they did from The Office just to crack each other up, to break up the monotony.
They're back on the road again the next morning when they in their absolutely destroyed car, which is like passively funny. They're driving this thing, and it's just completely
They're fighting.
destroyed.
They're fighting over the radio, which you have this great. I don't know why. This made me laugh so fucking hard as a kid. The Carpenter song, like when they're
it's
like,
a funny scene.
because it's basically us drunk listening to Whitney Houston. Yeah. We're just like, I mean, we can leave it here if you want to leave it here. I mean, like they're just too macho to say like they like this fucking song.
Every guy's had this moment in the car where it's like there's this like super emotional girly song, and you like it, but you're young.
Fuck you guys. Michael Bolton is a fucking he's an American institution. Fuck you guys.
Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby.
Exactly, dude. It's like they have one of those moments with Superstar by the Carpenters, and the scene cuts.
Baby, 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 oh baby, I love you.
And they're like crying, like there's tears, like
baby, 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 baby.
I love you.
But it's good. It's good writing too, because the moment, like, where do you go from there? So they have something shocking that like interrupts it, where the hood, which also was another thing that happened to the fucking writers.
No way, dude.
Yep, he said he had his hood flap, didn't fly off, but had his hood flap when he was adding oil and forgot to take the oil can out, and so the hood flew up.
It doesn't fly off. Remember, they wreck and it like rips.
That's
off.
right. Yeah. But like, so he left the oil in. This writer had this happen to him, and so they were like, "Fucking pick him up, like throw it in." That's basically what it was.
It's such a funny scene. He drives into oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
Screaming.
So look, I noticed this. This is great cinematography because the hood flies up, right, and they have all these shenanigans like going through traffic or whatever. They get stopped, and the hood goes back down. They start taking off again, and right as this truck is coming toward them, like,
dude,
the camera cuts like from the driver's point of view. You see this truck, and then the fucking hood flies up again.
Yeah, dude, that's nice.
That's so funny.
It was a really like well done scene,
because it gives you that kind of like panic drop in your stomach, like, oh my God, they're about to have a wreck.
Yep.
And that's like a catalyst to make you laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this leads over to them. You find out, much like one of the guys writing the script, that old Tommy, old Tommy boy forgot to take the fucking oil can out when they're going back and forth, and he's like, oh shit. So now this is where you find out, this is the
breakdown.
This is where you find out that the reason Richard doesn't like Tommy boy is Richard didn't have a dad growing up, and that Big Tom was basically like a fucking dad to him, and he doesn't feel like Tommy boy appreciates what he had in his dad. And then, now we get into, hey, we're going to do a fucking fist fight because you stepped on my tuna fish sandwich.
It's that moment of desperation, right? Everything is going wrong. Like, David Spade's car is wrecked. Like, that's the only thing he cared about. Like, his car is completely destroyed. And Tommy Boy's, it's a lot of Tommy Boy's fault, like, obviously, right? Even more than David Spade knows. But, like, that he's just sick of it. So he just sort of lets loose on him, like Chris said. He's just like, dude, you had an amazing dad, and you took it for granted. He just fixes all your problems. And that's why you're an idiot and you don't appreciate anything. And he goes all in on him.
For me, but he was your real dad, and you just took it for granted. Hey, I'm Big Tom's son. He'll fix everything, so I'm allowed to be a moron. That's it!
And
and it's fucking game on now. Now they're gonna fight, and so like Tommy's like, dude, I'll give you like a free shot. And so it's like, what is it, like 3 punches that he throws?
Yeah, and then he pulls a fucking Looney Tunes 2x4 out.
Yeah, well, because
Like,
Hacksaw
where'd it
Jim
come from?
Duggan was just in town. Ho! And he left his 2x4 on the side of the road.
If I wanted a kiss, I would have called your mother. Come on. That was a good one.
Because that's what he does.
Yeah, he keeps making fun of him. 'Cause just like I think I fell a breeze because David Spade punches him. He hits him in the stomach. Like he's wailing on him, and like Tommy Boy is just a huge guy. And then it cuts.
Dude, hits him with that 2x4. And this right here is one of the also, you talked about like the "would you do." This one is also anytime like you would get hurt on your face or anything, like I do it in wrestling, like backstage a lot. I'd be like, it doesn't really hurt so much here or here, like here,
right
like
here.
Yeah, like and he's got this big giant fucking bruise from the 2x4. He's like, no, I thought I hit you in the shoulder.
Right here. Not here or here so much, but right here.
Nope. Ship shape.
But
yeah, because they're at they're basically there's a makeup scene after that because he knocks Tommy Boy out.
Yeah, but he keeps asking, like, is there something on my face?
Yeah.
And
No.
he's like, no. And then the waitress comes up and she's like, oh my God. And he goes, I knew it.
What happened to your face?
Richard.
That waitress was originally supposed to be Roseanne Barr. But
really,
she had a scheduling conflict.
You're kidding me? Oh, that would have been sick, dude. Oh, she'd have done a great job. She'd have done a really good job. But this is also a really important scene. So obviously, they had their fight. Tommy Boy and Richards, they unspokenly sort of like make up like the "I'm sorry" song is like playing. But more important than all of those things, we find out Tommy Boy can sell because he convinces the waitress in his own way
to do the chicken wings,
to fry chicken wings for him, which he really wanted.
Tommy
the fryer was already
wingy.
down. and he pathetically convinces. And David Spade's like, "What did you like? Why can't you do that when we're selling the brake pads?" He was like, "I don't know. I'm just relaxed now.
Yeah, just
and
messing
nothing's on the
around.
line. I'm messing around." And David Spade's like, "That's the attitude you need to have when you sell." So they go to this next scene, and Tommy Boy makes his first sale.
David Spade does the chicken wings, and it fucking wings. Yeah, it hits him, and he gets he hits the dude about the guarantee.
Building model airplane, says the little fairy. Well, we're not buying it. He sneaks into your house once, that's all it takes. Next thing you know, there's money missing off the dresser and your daughter's knocked up. I've seen it 100 times.
Then they cut back to one of the fucking Rob Lowe scenes where Paul's trying to sabotage their trucks with a sniper rifle.
Oh, God. Not good.
To maul him. That's seemingly like, I know you have to set this up as him like trying to sabotage it or whatever. It's just so fucking funny to me how like derpy and quirky this is.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, because he's kind of like the counter of Tommy Boy. Like
right.
Like you think that he's going to be this like scheming, like, evil genius or whatever, but he's kind of a douchebag. Like,
yeah, he's kind of
he's
a too.
Fucking he's a walking calamity. Also, he's just goddamn
like
gorgeous.
Fucking Lunchbox. Yeah, like Lunchbox and Walking Calamity. And so this next, then now we got them back at the hotel, or the motel. They're back at the motel, and Tommy's gonna celebrate. He's gonna go grab a pie.
He's gonna get a pizza. Yeah,
and then Richard looks down. And if I'm not mistaken, this was Chris Farley's girlfriend at the time.
No way.
The pool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But anyway, so she is stripping down, and David Spade. This was the scene I was talking about earlier, where I was watching this movie with my mom and Leaf's mom, and we're like,
And this kind of reminded me a little bit of the original Vacation movie with Chevy Chase.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except
it has the energy.
Except nobody is Christy Brinkley.
Nobody is Christy Brinkley, and also Clark W. Griswold doesn't masturbate over the chick who is in the pool.
No one's looking. Speaking of no one's looking.
And so this girl strips down to nothing, and she's skinny dipping because that's what women do. They can't wait to skinny dip at a public pool.
Well, I mean, obviously.
That's what I've learned.
That's what we all hoped, right?
That's what all men pray for.
Well, according to Peter Segal's IMDb, his first movie that he directed was called Bikini 2. The saga continues.
I'm back.
So anyway, so that was, he did date her. That was Lori Bagley, not Kitty.
Lori Bagley.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe
date.
that was her nickname.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, as we move this thing forward,
see, so yeah,
maybe,
you have
the best part of her was her kitty.
David Spade gets caught.
He was masturbating.
He gets roasted by Chris Farley, who comes back because the piece of place is closed. He gets caught, and they're off on their basically a montage scene.
They're redemption sales, so they're selling everything.
They figured it out finally.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Farley catches him whacking or whatever, and
Yeah.
and he keeps making these little jokes like, who's your favorite little rascal? I bet it was Spanky.
Spanky.
Like, what's your favorite sports team? Was it the Yankees?
Yankees.
But the one that gets me is after all that, they're laying there like side by side, and Farley just goes,
Thinner.
Nice.
And so they figured out the secret sauce. Like, Farley has hit his stride. He knows how to sell. And we just get this whole entire montage. And the whole time, they're just banger track after banger track is playing again and again and again. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like the great music. Yeah, we get this sick montage of them. And, like, there's Farley, Tommy Boy and Richard are bonding finally, like, over this. And basically, they reach their goal, for all intents and purposes, of how many they need to sell to pay back the bank. So they're celebrating. Little do they know, ignorant, moron Paul actually managed to scheme and do something
finally
right.
got it, yeah.
He sneaks into Michelle's, who we know throughout the movie, as Chris Farley's love interest, and manages to get on her computer and sort of mess up some of the deliveries.
Right. Good old eraser nips.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and and she pays the price for not having like her system like in order, but it's he sabotaged the entire operation.
He's in her system.
He's in her system, and then you find out like the shipping errors. They can't go back and remake. They can't go back and make sales. They've already gone, and so now the company is going to have to be sold.
It's going to be sold because a lot of the people start canceling their orders because they're like, oh, you guys can't even deliver what we ordered from you, so they're ruined.
Yep. And then he has a fight with Michelle because he's doing it in kind of an innocent way, but you can tell she knows she didn't fuck up. She has a system. And then
she can't admit it.
She can't admit it that she messed up, which she didn't. It turns out she was sabotaged.
She does take responsibility, and they never fire her. She actually resigns.
She resigns and leaves, and so she's gonna go back home. But on her way back home, she discovers good old Paul and Beverly fucking sucking face.
Excuse me.
In the airport of all places. Where the hell are they? Where the hell is Paul going? I guess he's going to sell the company.
I'm gonna be honest. If you're fucking Rob Lowe and you're there with Bo Derek, like I'm sucking face wherever I'm at. You probably like had poster of her on your wall. Shit. That's what I'm gonna do. Shit.
Zelensky, we go to Chicago. Tell him we're not for sale. He seems like a good guy on TV. He'll understand.
So they decide that Chris Farley decides there's a chance for them to save the company. They're going to throw their tender mercies on Ray Zelensky, who is the other
last hope, man. Yeah,
dude. He is literally going to. He's buying the company. He's their competing auto parts manufacturer. So they decide to go to the corporate office in Chicago, but unfortunately, there are no tickets available. Mm-hmm. So they hatch a scheme. And their scheme is to basically become flight attendants, fake.
So good, so good.
And they sneak onto the plane as flight attendants. And I'm not gonna lie, This is one of my favorite David Spade scenes, man, is where he's given the announcement.
Yeah, dude, it's the sarcastic bye-bye guy, right?
You know what? If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button, and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer because you're a retard.
Like, it's what it is.
It's that scene from SNL. It legitimately is them together doing that. And he basically is like, if you don't know how a seatbelt works, you're retarded.
Yeah.
And I lost it, like, at that part. Like, it was the funniest thing. Then we get, obviously, Tommy Boy doing his slapstick thing. Wasn't as funny to me. This is where I agree with Shadwick. You know, there's this scene where he's getting dressed because they need to change clothes for the meeting that they're going to meet when they meet Zelensky.
Right.
And he's like getting his tie stuck in the toilet.
Dude,
like
it's just physical comedy gold here.
Yeah, it is. It's just classic Chris Farley fat guy stuff. He falls back out of the, all the passengers turn around, and David Spade's just like, I told you to buckle your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Et cetera, right?
So they do finally arrive in Chicago, and
yes,
and this didn't he freshen up with some fucking air freshener in the car?
I hope to arrive, preferably in Chicago.
Yeah, so they arrive in Chicago and they're taking a cab to Zelensky's headquarters in Chicago, and Chris Farley's well, David Spade's like, what are you doing? Chris Farley's rubbing his pits with the taxi cab tree air freshener. So he smells like pine, all over. They go into the headquarters, they get in, and sure enough, as they're in the elevator to go meet Zelensky, he's there, Dan Aykroyd's character, in the elevator, and they confront him. They're like, listen, we're from Callahan Motors.
Yep.
And immediately Zelensky, to his credit, before he becomes an absolute total asshole, is like, dude, I'm sorry about your dad, kid.
Yep.
He was a good man.
Yep.
He tells him, look, I understand, your issue.
But then you find that he's playing a fucking character on TV.
We gotta have the strength to tie a few factories to a tree and bash him with a shovel. Meanwhile, if I can grab your share of the market, put a little coin in my pocket by being the asshole, well, what the hell? Know what I mean?
Yep. He is a corporate shark. He's a salesman, and he's like, if I have to liquidate one of my competitors to capture the share of the market, that's what I got to do. He's like, you may call me an asshole, but it's just business, kid.
I'll be a rich asshole.
I'll be a rich asshole.
I think what he said was, if he dies, he dies.
He dies. Yeah, man.
Yep. He throws them out of the Zelensky headquarters, and they've hit rock bottom. It's over. There's Zelensky plans on selling Callahan Motors because he just wants the box of the Callahan quality product.
I hope at some point Zelensky gets.
All right. So he says,
all right, that's enough.
Yeah. So now they've got their last ditch effort. They're gonna make a makeshift bomb, and in a gag that reappears in Dirty Work, they're going to catch this man live on TV. Mm-hmm. So what they're going to do, which I didn't really put the 2 and 2 together till this last time I watched it. I was like,
I didn't till you just said that.
They really SNL rehashes a lot, in their movies. But I mean, it works.
He had dead hookers in his trunk.
I've never seen so many in my entire life.
Not this time, but yes.
Hi, got a second? What the hell's going on here?
Oh my God, we're gonna die.
Tommy, what are you doing? Hi, Ted. Hi, Frank. Excuse me, Marty.
Okay, we're live.
He goes into Zelensky's office, and he brings the cameras because he's strapped
with a bomb,
road flares, makeshift bomb to his chest, and the news is following him. But he's like, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to protect the people of Callahan Motors. There's some good people, and listen, if you'll commit to 500,000 brake pads, Zelensky, that would save this company, that would save these people. And Zelensky's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, because he's about to buy the company, and it's not going to matter, right?
Yeah, he even says it out loud, as he signed the contract. He's like,
difference does it make? The company's going to be mine in 10 minutes anyway, right?
And so we come to the final plot point that Chris mentioned. After he signed it, Michelle shows up somehow in a taxi cab to Chicago, right where they are, and it's like, hey, I found out that these are scammers, and Beverly and Paul are married, which means their marriage Beverly's marriage to Tommy Boy's dad.
What we learned in Dewey Cox's Walk Hard is you can't be double married, not even if you're famous.
you can't.
I think you can in Utah.
The marriage is null and void, meaning all of her shares legitimately go to Tommy, and it's the big reveal that Tommy Boy is like,
Did you guys realize? Or maybe it's just me, but the delivery of how could she be married to him if she's how should she be married to my dad if she's married to him? The way he delivered that was the same as the reveal of Captain Winky.
Oh, oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, Zelensky realizes he's had, right? Like he can't. Tommy's the sole owner of Callahan Motors, and Zelensky basically walks up to him and says, "Hey, I suppose, you're going to hold me to those sales and you're not going to sell me your company, are you?"
Yeah.
And Tommy Boy's like, "I'm not."
Yep.
And so Zelensky's like, "You threw one over my head, kid. Well done.
Well done. Yeah.
You're not going to do it again." Really, like, super cool guy, but business was business with him. And in another slapstick moment, we realized
Paul's got to get one more fucking dirt moment.
He's got to get one more dirt moment. Paul has outstanding warrants. As he tries to flee the scene, he gets one nut shot
from a crash test dummy.
From a crash as a crash test dummy, and that's it for him. And they make jokes about it. Yeah. And Bo Derek's character Beverly, in delicious slut fashion, instantly tries to hook up with Zelensky, and Zelensky's cool with it.
He's like, "Sweet, yeah."
Yeah, so they go off together. He doesn't care. She's married to the dude getting arrested by the cops.
Yeah, man. So
right now, dude.
so then they take it. So it's done, and now we have the Tommy Boy reveal at the very end where they have they're on the boat again. You kind of bring that moment home.
Yeah,
and,
Callahan Motors is saved.
Right.
Tommy Boy's out on the dinghy yet again, like he was in the shell, but only this time he's alone. And he's sort of just like praying to his dad or talking to his dad,
right,
who's long gone. And he's like, "Dude,
I'm trying to do everything I think you'd be doing. And so far it's going pretty good. I just want to tell you that I still love you and I sure miss you a lot."
I miss you, Dad. I've tried to do things the way you would do them. And if you could give me a little bit of a wind here so I can get off this lake and go have dinner with Michelle later on, I'd really appreciate it. And
the wind kicks up.
The wind kicks up, but not before one of the sails slaps him
in the head.
And he sails off, obviously.
Oh, son of a... That's going to leave a mark.
To into glory.
Which is great. I mean, again, this movie it's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. This is one of the movies that we've watched over and over and over again. So, guys, with that, we want to thank you for joining us. Go find Tommy Boy. God knows you'll have to pay for it somehow because fuck Hollywood. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and take it over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
Well, let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do.